And welcome back, guys, for another video. I wanted to give my take on this Bronny James, LeBron James narrative, and it's just it's very disheartening to see how the dynamic of this reality that we live in is just steeped in so much division in everything. It's not just the division of people being pro LeBron and his son coming into the NBA and people being against it. Um, I mean, critique is fair. Critique is a fair thing, but I'm not gonna throw out the word haters. I'm not gonna use that. I think that term is used too often. I think it's very critical that we start to look at people's arguments and look at where they're coming from, and we can talk about those things and have public discourse. But I don't want to call people haters who don't like what's going on with the Bronny thing, with him being drafted. I'm not going to call them haters. And the people who are for it, I'm not going to call them, Le fans or LeBron James fanatics. I'm not going to do that. I think that's disrespectful and disingenuous. I think that we all need to empathize with people's different perspective, and no matter what vein they're coming from, no matter what lens they're coming from, I think it's left up to us to just dissect where people are coming from and kind of see things the way they see them. That's what makes us stronger as a collective. So the name calling, I'm not going to do that. I think that's very immature. I think as grown men, we need to not do that. Division is just something that we can't escape. It's in all facets of life. It's in relationships, even the nuanced or the complex dichotomy between male and female, the male and female relationship. You see online with people talking about, women who are alone, who don't have anybody because they didn't prioritize being married when they were younger. And you have women that are speaking out their truth about how certain men are this and that. And it's all over social media. And it drives a huge wedge into the soul, because the soul starts to absorb those things, and that becomes the seeds, so to speak, that are planted into the soul of the soul, that starts to create and foment and starts to germinate, and that becomes our reality, because now it forms into something that's you know emitting fruits from it. So we have to be very careful what we absorb on social media. So which brings me to this point about LeBron James and Bronny. Okay, I've heard the things that Doug Gottlieb has said. I've heard the things that Ticket has said. I've heard the things that Chris Broussard has said. I've heard the things that Nick Wright has said. Um, there are many perspectives all around this, because the the idea of a son and father combination in the NBA has never been seen before, and it stirs up a lot of controversy, and it stirs up a lot of opinions. And I want our opinions to be rooted in logic, right? I'm not saying that I'm not gonna chastise anyone from having a different opinion than me, and neither do I want you to chastise me for having a different opinion than you. Sometimes it's just we just have to agree to disagree. Initially, when I made my response about when I gave my two cents about the LeBron James Bronny thing, I said I was really indifferent about it, because I wasn't really upset. I wasn't really overly happy either. I was just curious to see how this entire NBA journey from Bronny was going to unfold. Um, I was happy and grateful that I'm present and I'm alive during this time where history is being made, where I'm watching a father and son combination unfold right before me. Now, whether the son earned it or deserved it, or if he was better, if he earned the NBA, that wasn't really in my head. Because as a father myself, as I said before in my past video, this would be something that I would want to see for myself, assuming if I was in the NBA or in the MLB or whatever. It's almost surreal, like it's not real, because number one, Players don't play that long enough to have their sons play with them. That's very, very rare. So that speaks to the longevity of LeBron to last this long, where his son is capable of playing with him. That was my perspective. Whether it was fair for him to be drafted or not, life isn't rooted in fairness. Life is not orchestrated in a vacuum. There's so much complexities in life, so many variables to consider. It's not. There's no line in the sand that says fair and not fair. Life in itself is not fair. Um, Now we have certain things that are criminal. That are criminal. I will never endorse criminality, the harming of other people, the stealing from other people. But we understand that the modern economical construct of our existence is rooted in capitalism. And at the end of the day, the NBA is not ran on the basis of fairness. It's ran on the basis of the bottom line. It's about money. Lakers are in no position to be contenders next year. All right. If at best they'll be playing for a play in. All right. That's where I see them. I see them being relatively the same as they were this year. And if not, perhaps worse, factoring in a new head coach and factoring in all the drama around the team with Bronny being on the team. So, and these are the latter years of LeBron James's career. All right. He's winding down. And I don't think that the Lakers are thinking about championships. They're thinking about revenue and making money. And I think that the addition of a son and father combo is a money move. So initially, when I looked at this happening, I wasn't upset. I wasn't thinking, oh, he deserves. I know. I mean, anybody who has a brain knows that that Bronny didn't earn it. Even though JJ Redick said such things, he uttered those words in a press conference. He said, yeah, he earned it. And JJ doesn't even believe that. Okay. So I wasn't on that. I wasn't on my soapbox in that regard. Oh, it's not fair. He took another person's spot. He doesn't deserve it. He's only there because of his father. I knew that already. That was not a shock to me. So that's where my indifference came. It wasn't to the point where I was going to be angered by it, to the point where I was going to start critiquing LeBron James. But then again, let me preface my commentary by saying this as well, that I am a LeBron James fan in terms of what he does on the court. I'm not a fan of the many things that he does off the court. If you just want to ask me in terms of exciting player to watch, he's one of them. I've always followed him. Even when Jordan played, Jordan was an exciting player for me to watch too. I love to watch talented players play. It doesn't matter what team they're on. I just like to follow good players. And because ever since he got into the NBA, I've always followed him. And so you can say that I'm a LeBron James fan, but I'm not a fanatic, if that makes sense. Like I root for him. I root for him to have success, but I'm not unhinged from logic. I'm not illogical where I believe that everything that he does is excellent. Like I said, there are a lot of things that he's done off the court that I do not like. The manipulation of the media, which is not really done by him. I just think that the media aspect of LeBron James is sort of like a dysfunctional relationship. It's not done off of consensus. I believe that the media reaps a lot of benefits from favoring LeBron. A lot of people have earned their careers, like Skip Bayless. He's gotten a lot. He should thank LeBron for his financial success because he built his empire off of the back of LeBron. It wasn't till he started making crazy videos about and having crazy takes about LeBron. It wasn't until then that a lot of people started to actually watch him more because people were like, oh my God, how can he say this about LeBron? Or people who agreed with him were like, yeah, they agreed with that. So, people like Coach Prime and people like LeBron James are very, very captivating figures because whether it's their play in their respective sports or whether it's their character, their mannerisms, or their tweets or whatever that they say, it just garners a lot of attention. And with LeBron, the media covers him in a way where he is extolled. But I don't think that's LeBron James putting a gun to the media's head to say, do this. That's the dysfunctional part that I'm talking about. It's like, sort of like a relationship where there's no communication at all. And where LeBron, he knows, well, wow, I could almost get away with murder here. I could do no wrong. So it's like the spoiled brat where the parents allow the child to get away with anything. There's no discipline, there's no repercussions. And I think that the media has created the hate that people have for LeBron. Now I said I was going to use that word. I wasn't going to throw that word out, but there is genuine hate out there for LeBron. Okay. Now there's also genuine critique. I respect genuine critique, but I don't respect the genuine hate because LeBron has done nothing to harm your family. He's done nothing to steal money out of your family's pocket. He has never wished any ill will upon you or your child. So I don't see where the hate would come from if it's genuine. And if you do have a genuine hate for him, then perhaps that's more of an indictment on your mental state, because there's no reason for you to hate a person that's done nothing to you personally. Because to hate a person, it has to be personal. To have to actually do something that strikes at your core values to a point where it's personal. And I don't think LeBron has ever did anything to that magnitude. He's never committed a crime. For all we know, he's relatively a good father and a faithful husband. For all we know, I'm not saying he's perfect, but I mean, for all the things that he's been surrounded with all the attention that he's garnered since he got into the NBA, for him to be sort of clean, and maybe the media has covered up for him, who knows? But we know TMZ is quick to get footage and get information from athletes that we that we once viewed as being, model citizens, and we end up finding things out about them, and we're all in a state of shock when we get that information. So, with that said, there's a weird relationship between the media and LeBron. I don't think that LeBron and Clutch Sports are manipulating the media. I believe that the media are using Clutch Sports and LeBron for their advantages because they want the ratings. They're using LeBron for their personal agenda. And like a spoiled brat, LeBron's like, well, hell, if you guys are going to use me, I'm going to get some benefits out of this as well. So it's a weird dynamic. All right. The dichotomy between LeBron James and the media, it's something to be studied and looked into very deeply, because a lot of people believe that it's LeBron controlling the media. No one's controlling anybody. I just think everyone's out for themselves. It's a dog eat dog world, right? The media is gaining or getting as much as they can from LeBron. And LeBron is like, well, I'm going to get as much as I can from you guys, because anything that I do spreads like wildfire. Okay, so the media are responsible for creating this month's sorry about that, the lights went off. The media is responsible for creating this monstrosity of an ordeal that we see unfolding right before our eyes here. Now let's get back to Bronny, right? So he plays his first summer league game, and everyone is talking about his 22% shooting. He only had 4 points. I believe 2 rebounds, 2 assists or something like that. I don't know. I think he had 2 still. I don't know what his stat line was, and I don't know how many minutes he played. And I think that this is what those who are full of critique were waiting for. I'm not going to say the word haters because I hear that too much. We have to switch our talk and be more logical when we speak, because it's easy to say haters for social media because that's what everyone's saying, but I'm gonna choose to be intentionally different and pull myself away from that, from that verbiage of using the term haters, because I don't want to call people haters because they are critiquing LeBron and Bronny. Because you have to listen to what people are saying before you call them haters. So people who were already full of critique about Bronny, about him not being ready, and people thinking that the LeBron James is running the Lakers organization by him getting the kind of coach he wanted. JJ Redick having a podcast with JJ Redick, and now he's getting his son in the NBA. A lot of people don't like that. So what people were waiting for, they wanted to see the summer league game, and I'm sure that's the summer league game ratings were off the charts because people were tuned in, and this is the business aspect of the draft pick of Bronny. It's not about we're filling a need on a team. It's like we know our team are not really true contenders. We're nowhere close. But what we can do is move the meter in terms of the attention that we can garner. We're going to be on the radar, not under the radar. We're going to be above the radar, where everyone's going to be watching us. So people were tuning in to see how Bronny would play, and he did not play well. Okay, he didn't play well. Was he horrible? No. He missed shots, like any player could do, but everything that he's going to do moving forward will be magnified. It will be magnified because people have to feel justified for their critique, and people who are rooting for him, they're watching so they can justify their non-critique and their acceptance of LeBron wanting his son to play with him. So everyone is looking for a means of justification to solidify their arguments or to validate their arguments to make it a little bit stronger. I watched it, and to me, I'm going to be very logical in this aspect. I'm going to remove my emotions from it. People who are highly emotional and who already have a strong disdain and a sense of amount of critique against LeBron James and Bronny for this situation are highly emotional. They're gonna say things like, "He's not ready. You see, he did this, and it's a shame what LeBron James is doing to the Lakers, and look at him. He's not fit to play." I remember there was a guy by the name of Kobe Bryant, and I remember his rookie season, how horrible he played in the playoffs. You guys remember that? Now I understand summer league and playoffs are different. But Kobe actually got drafted. He was a lottery pick out of high school. Okay, so we can say he earned it, right? Remember that game against Utah? How he shot like 2 air balls. I didn't see anybody then saying that he wasn't ready for the NBA. I believe that was his rookie season, if not his rookie or his second season. I can't, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But it was early in his NBA career. This guy, Bronny, is under a lot of pressure. And it's not his fault. It's all his father's fault. Because the father is trying to... It's a couple of things that LeBron is trying to do. Number one, he's trying to build a legacy of being the first father-son combination, but not in this order. This is just me naming them. Number two, he just wants to genuinely play with his son. And number three, he wants to be there in the earlier stages of his son's development before he departs, before he resigns, before he leaves the NBA. And I think it's sort of like a dying wish of a father. Not that he's dying literally, but as he's dying, as his NBA career is coming to an end, as the nails in the coffin of his NBA career are coming to an end, this is something that he just wants to do before he leaves. He wants to make sure his son is set up for success. That's the good father part that I see. That's hard for me to critique that. But there are other people who, like I said, most people who have a critique about this, they're people who did not already like LeBron James for whatever reason. So this just gives them fuel to their fire to just pile on. But we should not be attacking Bronny. This is not Bronny's fault. Right now, Bronny is living a dream. And I heard Kwame Brown earlier on his podcast, and he was talking about how he watched the game. He did not see killer instinct from Bronny wanting to prove his doubters wrong. Well, Kwame, he's not going to. He's never gonna have that killer instinct because, as you said it in your video and you explained it very well, he didn't grow up the same way LeBron grew up, number one. Number two, like you said he grew up in the suburbs, so he was a little bit more sheltered. There's no incentive to try to have that killer mentality because you've already been given a contract. You don't even know, Bronny, how it feels to try to earn a spot because you really didn't earn the spot. So mentality-wise, Bronny is just there, and you can see it. He's almost like he's in the dream. He's like, "Oh my God, I'm just here." He's happy just to be there. And when you are playing in summer league, that type of mentality with the other dogs that are on the team that are on the team and on the opposing team, everyone clawing and scratching to get their foot inside the NBA is going to be very hard for you to excel in that type of environment because you are already in the summer league as if you've already arrived. And summer league is usually not like that. Summer league is guys that are trying to prove themselves. Um, Bronny doesn't have anything to prove because he's been given the 4-year contract. Is that Bronny's fault? No, it's not Bronny's fault. It's nobody's fault. It's just the way things unfolded. And the dad has a lot of power. And the Lakers organization they understand what that power can bring. They understand that the power can bring a lot of money. It's better for us for us to make history in regard of having the first father-son combination here in LA than to have the threat of LeBron leaving for free agency and then going to another team where his son could play with him there. So Lakers have always made big moves, whether it's getting, big free agents like Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, aka Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, whether it's getting Shaquille O'Neal, getting AD, getting LeBron James. They're big on getting free agency. They're big in acquiring the talents from other teams. But this is the first time in Lakers franchise that they've gone this route. They're not getting a player to help them win. They're getting a player to increase revenue and get more attention. And to me, that's not such a bad thing. We have to live in the reality that there's nothing that the Lakers could have done to be contenders. They would have to completely decimate the whole team. You have an aging star and you have a inconsistent all-star in Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis's game is predicated on others. He's not a go get a bucket kind of guy. He's well rounded. He's a good defender. He protects the rim. He gets a lot of putbacks. He's not a guy that's gonna just like destroy you in the paint. He's not that guy. He rim runs. He's just he's nominally skilled, meaning that he has skill, but he doesn't have skill that you can actually build an entire franchise around him. He cannot be your number one guy. And I think that the detriment, what comes as a detriment to the LA Lakers is that you have a 40-year-old man that's your number one. And that's a problem. Even though, the torch is trying to be passed to AD, but you can't pass the torch to a guy who doesn't have the mentality, nor the game, nor the skill to be the number one guy. So that's where the inconsistencies occurs, and that's why they occur with Anthony Davis, because he can't put up good numbers night in and night out. That's not what he does. He'll give you a splash here or there. He'll disappoint you in the playoffs. And what they achieved last year is as good as it's as good as they can get to me this year. All right, okay, so I think that the Lakers organization, they just went with attention. Let's just be the talk of the NBA. Boston Celtics just won a championship, and no one's talking about Boston. Everyone's talking about LA Lakers and LeBron James and Bronny. If that's not clever marketing, I don't know what is. It's not about winning this year with the Lakers. That's the point that I'm trying to make here. Now, after the game, everyone started to pile on it and critique the game of Bronny, rightfully so. He didn't play well. He didn't put up double-digit numbers. His shooting percentage was horrible. He didn't even shoot well from the free throw line. He didn't play well. So this was the opportunity for those who, are critics of LeBron to pile on. And they went in the kitchen. They cooked Bronny. And it just further solidified or further validated the reasons why people were saying that he wasn't ready. But then again, this is not the first time that I've seen a rookie get drafted and play horrible their first summer league game. But as I said, there's an imbalance, all right, and an illogical approach when it comes to Bronny. There's no neutrality in this. There's no neutrality in it, meaning that there's no middle ground. It's either extreme criticism or extreme apathy and indifference, and it's hard to bridge those two gaps together because you're so far wide. You cannot be extreme with either. We have to be very, very logical and know that this is not the first time in NBA history that a rookie did not play well their first summer league game. Okay. Now, because of this one game, let me say this. Because of this one game, people are saying that, oh, he's not ready. This is why he's not ready. Now, if he had a good game, you know what the critics will also say? Well, it's just one game. It's summer league. Wait till the real NBA starts. See, the post and the bar is always going to be shifted in order for people to validate their critique, in order for people to feel justified in their criticisms of Bronny. Okay? If he played well, it doesn't matter. Even if he put up 20 points in his first game, the critics will say it's just summer league. Wait till the real NBA. And if he does it in the NBA, which I doubt, if he puts up like 20 points in a game, then they'll say, well, he got a lot of his points off of, easy buckets. It's just one game. He would have to continually prove himself, and which is a good thing. I don't think that having to prove yourself is a bad thing because that's what builds up that mental fortitude and it builds that energy of competition. It actually makes you better when you have to actually prove something. What I'm afraid of is that Brian doesn't have anything to prove. He doesn't feel like he has anything to prove. And I think that's scary in a bad way. It doesn't because, when you get to that level of competition, athleticism is just 5% of it. We understand most people that are in the NBA have athleticism. They can run, they can jump, some more than others, of course. The rest of it, 95% of it is all mental. It's your mentality. Do you feel like you have a chip? I don't think he has a chip on his shoulder because he didn't. It's hard to have a chip on your shoulder when you didn't earn the chip. If the chip was just placed on your shoulder, you just go, okay, I got a chip on my shoulder. You just eat the chip. When you had to fight for that chip, you're going to guard that chip. And you're going to go out there and play your ass off. And I don't see that from Bronny. And I think that he's just happy to be there. It's sort of like if you went to sleep and you had a dream that you were in the NBA. I think the lights are too big for him right now. And right now it's just hard for him to adjust and settle into that NBA mindset. But is he good enough to be on an NBA roster? Of course. Of course he is. I mean, he's athletic enough. He reminds me, his comp to me is Bledsoe. I think his name was Bledsoe. Remember the backup point guard for the Clippers a while back? Athleticism, can run, can jump, not very tall. I think he'll build his game as he stays there, but he's gonna learn the game by being a part of the team. He's not gonna learn the game through the G League route or going back to college. He's gonna learn on the job training. And but in terms of that killer mentality, I agree with Kwame. It's not there. So of course he plays his first game. All the critics come out and they're saying things like, this is why he shouldn't be there. But one game doesn't make or break anybody because even if he came out and scored 18, 20 points, that would just mean, okay, it's just summer league. That's what people would say. People are always going to want to see more and more and more and more and more until you do it so consistently that you can shut your critics up. Right now, it's too raw. It doesn't matter what Bronny did that first game. It doesn't matter but him playing bad made it easy to criticize him. The bad play made it really, really easy to pile on, without a doubt. It did. But if he played well, it would just be, oh, it's summer league. It's summer league. That's not the real NBA. Those aren't the real NBA players. He's not playing against real NBA players. Wait till he plays against real NBA players. So that would be the narrative then. But with that being said, now we get news today that he did not play against the Golden State Warriors because he had a knee injury. And the narrative that's going around social media is that it's fake. That after he was exposed the first game, that father doesn't want his son to be out there again, to be exposed again back-to-back games. And I heard Tickets say that on Ticket TV, you could go check out his channel. He said that he feels like they'll let him come back and play against, I think when they play against China, because they believe that he can do better with that competition. I don't agree with those narratives because we don't have facts to say that. And even if you assumed or inferred that before it happened, like Ticket TV mentioned it happening before it happened, and when it happened, it doesn't really make it true, because we don't know the facts. What we do know is that, or what they're telling us is that he has a knee injury, and I think that we should just take that for face value. This is why I say that, because if he had a bad game his first game, and let's say he did tweak his knee a little bit, okay? Let's say he does have a knee injury. Why would you force him back out there no matter the severity of the injury? It could be a slight knee injury, it could be something that's really serious. Even if it's something that's not that serious, why would you risk putting him back out there on back-to-back games? He already didn't play well the first game. Why would you put him back out there when he's less than 100%? That would not be good for LeBron James or Bronny's brand, because now it's more likely that you're going to see him play horrible in 2 consecutive games in Summer League. So it's very, very smart on the part of LeBron James's team to sit him out the second game if there's a true knee injury. Now, let's go with the other scenario. Let's say that there's no knee injury. I don't see why you should sit him, because the majority of people, the majority of critics are already against him. There's nothing that he can do to win people over in Summer League. The only way he can win people over is if his first year he's actually serviceable. I'm not saying he has to average like double digit points, but he has to have more moments of glows, right? He has to have more moments of wow, I see the potential now, than what the hell is he doing? Ooh, why did he miss that layup? Like, he can't have horrible plays that are consistent, because believe it or not, the media, people call it la media, they're more likely to gloss over his errors, because they'll go back to his heart issue and say things like that. And I remember I heard Doug Gottlieb talking about how most players who had heart conditions wouldn't even be drafted. And the fact that he was still drafted is another thing too. So Doug Gottlieb was piling on. And like I said, the game that Bronny played, he just gave fuel to his critics to use against him, and which is fine. And this is something he has to grow from and learn from. He has to learn from it. So the idea, going back to the Bronny James missing the game against Golden State, people, if it is fake, I don't see why you would fake it if he was healthy. Like, assuming he's healthy, right? That's not protecting your son, because there's not. Put it this way. People already believe that Bronny should not be in the NBA anyway. So if he goes there and doesn't do much, that's not a shocker. That's not revelatory at all. That's like, this is what we expected. Now, you're not protecting your son by doing that. What you're doing, if that is true, as Ticket says, if he did pull his son to say, hey, I'm going to protect you, I don't want you to look bad 2 games in a row, then you are setting your son up for failure. You are creating the opposite of a dog. You are LeBron James indirectly, inadvertently, creating a son that has a far weaker mentality than you. Not that LeBron James has the strongest mentality, but whatever dog that LeBron James had in him coming out of high school, he has totally stole that from his son. His son doesn't have the same drive. Now, am I saying that the son doesn't have a good work ethic? No. I'm not saying that Bronny doesn't love the game. I'm sure he loves basketball. I'm sure he practices hard. I'm sure he does the drills. I'm sure he's watched his father's routines. I get it. But that's surface stuff. I'm talking about deep within the recesses of the soul, the internal faculties, the things that you can't see, the mentality, the psychology of a hungry, desperate athlete. It's not there. And you can't blame Bronny for that, because his upbringing didn't create that type of mentality in him. Certain people have to go through certain things to say, I want to get my mom out of the hood, or I want to buy my mom that house. There's none of that with Bronny. Mom and dad already have $1 million house. Their house, they already have everything. So that killer instinct is not there. He's not coming out of the mud. He's coming out of the palace and stepping into another palace. So there's nothing there. He's just here for the ride. So I don't think that anything is gained from trying to protect him, because you need to let him feel the wrath of the masses, so to speak. I know he's been hearing it, but he hasn't heard it on an NBA level yet, because now we have film footage to critique. So don't protect Bronny, LeBron, father. Don't protect him. Let him go out there. Let him make his mistakes. Let him spill his milk. Let him get criticized. See what your son is made of. Will this break him, or will this make him get better? What will it do to him? Protecting your children from everything is not the best thing. You're creating weak-minded children. That's why Bronny doesn't have the killer mentality. He doesn't have it. He didn't have it. He's just there. And I'm not blaming him at all. This is not his fault. It's not his fault. He didn't ask to be the son of Bronny, of LeBron James. He just woke. When he became conscious enough and aware enough, he was like, oh, okay, my dad's an NBA player. Okay, I'm going to just ride this wave. And that's what he's doing. I think the person that's going to benefit from all of this is Bryce, because he's watching this unfold. Usually the first sons, the older children usually have to go through the mistakes first, and the younger ones learn. I think Bryce is going to learn. Bryce is going to have more of a killer instinct. Not because I feel like I think Bryce is more skilled than, not as athletic as Bronny right now, but I think that in the long haul, Bryce is more skilled. But I think that he's seen all these things unfold. And I think that his approach is going to be different than his brother's approach. If it's a real injury, it's smart to sit him. If it's not a real injury and it's fake and they're lying to protect him, then I don't like that at all. Because protecting your son from what? There's no protection anymore. Once you enter the NBA, it's raw. It's raw. Once you enter the NBA, I hate to use that term raw because it has a sexual connotation to it. But what I'm trying to say, there's no protection anymore, because even if you sit him out for so many summer league games, at some point he's going to have to play NBA games. It's better now he faces the critique and ridicule from playing poorly in summer league than to face it in the regular season. Because if he initially starts to face it in the regular season, he's not going to know how it feels. Let him go through the pains now, and then go back to the lab and work on certain things. So use this, Dad, LeBron, use the footage of summer league as a teaching tool. Let him go out there and be exposed. Let him get dunked on. Let him lose the ball. Let him miss shots. Let him miss free throws. He needs to get all that out of his system. All those butterflies. Let him get all that out of his system. Until reality hits, he's not going to grow an iota of a killer instinct. Right now, he has none. Killer instinct only comes through trials and tribulations. You have to go through things to have a killer instinct. Because you don't want to go back to where you were. You remember where you came from. That chip on your shoulder is huge. And all the people that are doubting you and doubting what your father believes in, if that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what can. But then again, it's hard to be motivated when you already come from money. I mean, what am I playing for? All these other guys are playing for a contract. I already have mine. All these guys are playing to get their mom get their mom into a better house, or move their parents, or change their family's dynamic from a financial perspective and put them in a better place. Bronny already has that. So all the incentive, all the things to motivate players to play hard have been stripped away from him. And Dad has set his son up for failure. He has. And I didn't want to agree with Kwame. I think he has. And that's the critique I have of LeBron. I think you should have let your son materialize and wait. But he wanted it now. And so there's no protection. You can't have it both ways. You can't want your son to be in the NBA and then try to protect him from the critique of the NBA. That's not the way it works. If you play bad, you bounce back. You come back. You don't build mentally strong children by protecting them from everything, especially the psychological part of it. You have to face your mistakes. You have to face your failures. You have to get up and change something and do something about those failures. Okay? So that's my take on all this. The saga is going to continue. I'm sure the next game he plays, people are going to be watching very hard. And if he plays bad, and people are going to pile on again. And if he plays well, mark my words, people are going to say, well, it's just summer league. It doesn't matter. It doesn't count. Wait to the real NBA. So, welcome to the NBA, Bronny. I know this is a dream of yours, and I don't think reality has actually hit him yet because he hasn't. Deep down, he knows he shouldn't be there. He knows, but I mean, what kid is going to say no to the NBA if they have a chance to go because their dad was so dominant for so many years. So, so that's it. I'm not hateful of LeBron for doing this because as a father, if I was in his position, I would do the same damn thing. Um, you have people speaking from the perspective of what he's taking another player's roster spot. So it happens all the time. There's certain players that get drafted because their dad was in the NBA and they take other players' roster spots. Scottie Pippen's sons were in there. You have the example of the Giannis brother, but to me, Giannis's brother is actually athletically and good. He just doesn't get clock. But I think that on a bad team, he would actually get playing time. I've seen him play. He's actually a very, very serviceable pro. He's not garbage as people make him out to be. So it happens. It happens. It's just that LeBron James is on a on a public forum where everybody knows about him, and because he's such a great player and the comparisons to Jordan and some of the things that he's done, people don't like it. Some people actually believe that he's on PEDs. That's a whole nother topic for another day. Don't even want to delve into that aspect. People don't like the fact that he has his little clutch sports and they run the NBA kind of thing. Like I said, no player is bigger than the NBA, but a player that's great will have a lot of influence in the NBA. There's a difference. He doesn't control the NBA. He just has a huge amount of influence, and the media is benefiting from it as well. Again, that goes back to that crazy relationship between media and LeBron James. But again, I wish the kid well. I wish Bronny well. I hope he does play well, just for his personal confidence, not to get the critics off his back, because the critics are never going to go off your back. I don't care if he has an excellent summer league. Your critics are going to just be waiting for him to play a bad game. I just think that's going to be his entire rookie season, that no matter what happens, the critics are always going to be waiting for the next bad game. If he has 5 consecutive good games, they're going to be waiting for that one bad game to say, see, he's not ready. And if let's say he has 5 consecutive bad games, and that's more, see, I told you he's not ready. That's why the Lakers are trash. And I don't know. I don't know how this kid's going to mentally take it, because if he didn't fight for this and he's getting criticized for it, you know what? He may be totally indifferent to it, though. I don't think it actually may affect him. And I was about to get off this feed, but I just thought about something. It may not even impact him, because if you didn't work hard to get something, then it doesn't matter if it's taken away from you or if people are criticizing it, because you have that protective shadow of your father. So he's never going to be viewed as a man until his father retires. So that level of respect that most players get in the NBA, he's not going to get that. He's always going to be like, oh, you're daddy's little boy, because daddy's still on the team. So I don't even think that's why he doesn't have the drive to killer mentality, Kwame's, because he didn't earn it. And if you don't earn something, it's hard to actually take the critique personally, because you're like, I don't care. I'm here. My dad got me here. I'm just going to play basketball. Whether I play good or bad doesn't matter. But if you don't have that, certain stress level and that certain pressure on you to perform, then it's hard to improve in game or on the big stage. You can do a lot of great things in practice, and Kwame mentioned this on his channel. Practice players and playing when the lights are on are totally different. And I think Bronny is probably great in practice, but when the game starts, it's like, I'm just happy to be here. And that mentality won't carry over. It won't age well as he ages. He needs to break out of that mode. And I think the best thing that would happen for Bronny is for LeBron James to retire. I think then he will have a better career. But as far as his father being on the same team with him, it's not good for Bronny's mentality to grow to be an independent young man because father is still there as your protective, a wedge, so to speak, to kind of keep you protected. And I think that once you enter the NBA as a young man, it becomes you know, an introduction moment. And I don't think that he's had the introduction moment yet because father is still protecting him. That's assuming the story is true that the father's protecting him from playing a second game. But if he's healthy, you play him. Let him look like trash out there. So what? He's on the team anyway. He has already gotten a contract. So what? So right now, Bronny's playing with house money. There's no pressure. So to be honest with you, he should be out there playing loose. He shouldn't be tight. It shouldn't be any butterflies because he's not playing for anything. He's already been given the 4-year contract. All right, so that's my take on it, guys. Give your opinions freely. Let me know what you think. Am I off base with this? Like I said, I'm very very logical about this. I'm not mad at the situation, but I'm not overly happy. I'm just watching as a viewer to see how this unfolds. But I'm never gonna root against the player. Never. For me to, even if I didn't like LeBron, I couldn't root against a man's son because I have children. I couldn't do that. I believe in karma. I don't want people to root against my child, so I'm not going to root against anybody else's child, especially when there's no criminal activity that's taking place. It's just a kid getting drafted who you think is not supposed to be drafted, but I'm still going to want him to do well. Just like Caitlin Clark, I thought that the hype of her in college was overkill, right? But when she got to the NBA, I wasn't rooting for her to play bad. I was like, okay, let's see how you do. I want to see you do well. I want to see you take your skill and your talents and the things that you can do on the basketball court and the collegiate level. I want to see how you do that in the professional levels in the WNBA. So that's what I was waiting for, and she's playing better. I want to see Bronny do the same thing. I want to see him take his athleticism and let that matriculate into the NBA game and let him showcase his physical talents. Because I think that the shooting and the skill stuff will come later, but right now he's just raw. He's a raw talent, and I think that he's good enough, but he needs to show that to us, and that's yet to be seen. So guys, leave a comment, tell me what you guys think, and I'll be back again with another one. Thank you guys for watching. All right, bye.